Hello and welcome back to 4FS Gaming, and today we're going to look at the compound guide of Lockbay Docks. Now this is a compound that has a lot of action in it because it's right in the middle of the map, and it seems that almost every second game there's at least one good fight that goes down here. We're going to start by the approach from the south, and you've really got three options. First, we can see this group of islands that goes across. The advantage of this is that no one really checks them because it's a slow and vulnerable approach, and of course that's the cons. Up the top we have this bridge here. That's a good approach because it's pretty safe, and then it allows you to move in from the east side of the compound, but again it is slow if you're coming from the south because you've got to kind of go all the way around. Then we have this central bridge here. It's obvious, it's direct, and it's also fast. One of my favourite routes is to actually go along the mud here on the left side of the bridge. You can also then move up onto the bridge if you need to by doing a little jump if you take fire. And then you've got some more cover, but it is just wood. But I really like going along here because then you can't be shot from the right hand side or third partied, and it's very, very unlikely that someone's going to peek you from any of the places inside the compound because there's no actual windows or anything that looks out here in a decent way. When you move up, you've got all this great cover you can use as well. Not to mention, you're also then able to peek into the window here. Even though it's mesh wire, it's still able to be shot through. And then you can move in underneath or go straight up into the compound proper. So that's a reasonably good approach, mainly because it's fast, and speed when pushing a boss compound can be really critical. Let's have a look at the east side approach now if you're coming in from the Alice Farm direction. What you've got going for you on this approach is a whole lot of soft cover, or concealment if I'm going to use the technical term, in terms of we've got all these leaves and bushes that you can hide in, and it's difficult for people to see you. It won't protect you from actual bullets though. This goes all the way up to the compound. Even here, there's some branches sticking through the fence, which can be used to partially conceal you. From here, you can see along the front balcony there, and into the side. You just have to be careful of the cracks between those wooden slits, because you can be shot through them, but then again, that's a two-way street. You can also shoot in. If we go around this end, it's the same thing. We can see that there's the grate on the slide door to watch out for. This window here is also something to consider, and people can peek up from the stairwell that goes underneath. And you've only got wooden soft cover here, so you've got to be careful. You can also use this boat to jump across. You just need to make sure you're using the front of the boat, and it's a quick traversal that it does expose you to the window of the building to get over the fence. If you ever need to leave the compound quickly, this ramp is your way out. But let's keep looking for ways in. And from here you can peek back into the main compound as well, but again, not much good cover except for this one layer of sheet metal. Other than that, you can move around the right here to get much better cover in terms of these stacks of wooden planks, and there's another gap in the fence here. Again, more thick foliage that you can crouch in to gain partial concealment. This really isn't a bad spot to stealth in from before making that final rush up to the building. If we move further around up toward Darrow, we're now looking at a northern approach, and here we have more fences that you can vault over, and there's grass on the other side that's quite low, but does offer you some concealment, particularly in night times. This final little gap in the fence that you can jump through here is beside the turned cart and a whole lot of fencing, which is great cover if you've got longer range weapons that you want to use to snipe down into the compound. Your approach from the north side is pretty self-explanatory. There's cover, you can move between it to get closer, so there's not too much to explain here. There's plenty of buildings that you can get up, and this blue one here is the one that houses the generator. If you do get into trouble here, you can also drop down, and then it's a short sprint across the mud, either right up to the boss building or underneath the boss building. Now let's look at the southern approach, and one of your big threats is going to be snipers from that tower, so I always check that no one's over at Blanchett briefly first, and let's look at the three ways across. You've got that boardwalk, you've got these marshy islands, and then you've got this path that runs pretty much down toward Crematorium, and this is perhaps my favourite approach into the compound as a whole for a number of reasons. Firstly, there's great concealment. There's so many bushes that you can hide behind, and you can use them to get right up into the compound. There's usually also less AI here, a couple of grunts, but you can usually avoid them. And then you've got the tree. I think my best triple kill ever came from this tree. Let's have a look.
Oh, wait behind you, Merrick.
There's birds on me. You guys are not going to have any assistance from me for a while.
Nah, Potter, fucking go. We're engaging. There's three right on me. Go, go, go.
going.
Nice.
One more.
Wow, nice.
Oh yeah.
The tree's great because it's on a mound, and you can use that cover behind it to reposition, go left, go right, and pop out and peek in a whole lot of different places that give you advantages in gunfights. When you move up, you can go to the left here in order to duck down and get underneath, if that's your thing. Or you can head over to the right-hand side where there's additional cover in the form of wood planks that allow you to get up nice and close to the compound. You've just got to be careful of the right-hand side over the water, because that's where plenty of people like to sit with long ammo and scope out. So always be aware that there could be snipers to the left and the right on the far banks here. Let's go inside and look at the boss lair itself. So that there is our west door entrance. We then have two entrances on the south side. This one here is a door which is sometimes barred. You've also got to be careful of these windows, and there's a sneaky spot here you can look out to the south as well. And then we have the second door, which is the slide door, which is very, very exposed. I very rarely try and use this one because of how exposed it is to the other bank. Here's those cracks in the wooden planks that we saw from the east side approach, and these go all the way along. You can use these to shoot out of if you've got a really good eye or a sniper scope. Some gaps are bigger than others. That gap there is really great for hitting people coming across that initial bridge that I used to approach from the south. This door here is almost always barred, and it offers a quick exit from the compound and also a quick way to get underneath. But of course it's not the quickest way underneath. If you really want to get down there quickly, you can come down this way, just being careful of all the spots that grenades can be thrown in and out. Just be careful that in this room there's plenty of little holes that you can use to look out or look in. That one there is great because it allows you to use a shotgun or a rifle to hit anyone trying to climb the ladder to get above you onto the roof. And we go past the slide door, and then just to the left of the slide door there's a hole in the floor. And this hole is a drop hole which will take us to the north side underneath the boss building, which is really, really useful. Back inside again from where we dropped down the first time, let's look at the upstairs section of the boss lair. Now this is a pretty simple. There's only two staircases to get up there. This is one of them. And when we're up here, we cannot jump over onto this boat. Trust me, I've tried many times. But what you can do is look out this window to the right. And this is one of the only windows on the top floor that you can actually look out of. And it's the only one you can jump out of. So this can be used for a quick escape. You've just got to be careful that, because it's the only window, people tend to always be looking at it. Again, there's more cracks you can use a scope to get some sneaky shots through. And back to here, there's some windows that look out to the north, but they're too high to use unless you jump out here, and then you can actually get some shots on people coming across the fields from Alice and Darrow. And I've gotten some sneaky kills there. There's our drop down to the bottom floor if you need to do some quick escapes. You can also drop down to the right there. And you can snipe out either through the boat section or through this window in front of us now. There's lots of people on the other bank, and they very rarely look through this window because they don't expect people to be sitting at it since it's not above anything. You can jump over onto these slats, and that will allow you to shotgun down or hide pretty effectively. Not many people look up there, so keep that one in mind. And there, of course, is our other staircase that takes us up to the top floor. Now we're going to look at how to get onto this little roof. There's a couple of boxes here that we can jump on. It's useful to get from one side to the other quickly if you don't want to run all the way around this little outhouse section. You can also throw things in from up here very easily. If you can wallbang people with shotguns as well if you're up close. You are very exposed from a 180-degree angle, so do be careful. You can also use this to surprise people coming up from underneath you from that stairwell that runs underneath Lockbay Docks. Now if we run around to the other side, we can see that ladder that takes us up there, but if you're climbing that ladder, be careful that people in the winch door room of the boss lair have a clear shot to take you out. There's also a whole lot of little holes that I'm pinging now that are excellent for throwing explosives in. If you hear people running around, this is a pretty porous compound in terms of throwing things. So always be aware of these holes so that you can get stuff in when you need to. Now let's look at what I consider the heart of this compound, and probably the key to defending it well, and particularly in multi-team fights, dominating this underground space, or this under the compound space, is really critical. You've got places that you can shoot out across the water, which not many people look for. This central room is a great hiding spot up here. Often there's a lot of armors that appear in here, so you have to clear them out first. Across here we can get some more shots or quick escapes to the south. And this is one of my favourite places to floor bang people walking around up top. If you've got a shotgun or a shot bolt, you can make easy work of them. And the same goes for the other end here, because this corridor runs the length of the compound and is a great way to get from north to south without being shot at from anyone in any direction. So this is your key to quickly moving around the compound, is using these underneath sections. And you can also throw stuff up the drop down there that we showed you before. And of course, here we have our stairwell, which brings us back up to the top. So there's the ins and outs of most of the compound. Now I just want to spend some time to show you a few more sneaky spots, which I haven't got around to mentioning in the general part of the tour. By jumping up here, you're able to get onto the roof, which it's vulnerable, but it does give you really good sight lines, and it can be a nice place to throw some consumables with extra range because you've got that elevation advantage. Not the kind of thing you want to do unless you're sure there's only one other team and you know that they're all inside, or you know their general positions. Around here is one of my favourite little hiding spots. By jumping up here, especially if someone's chasing you from the south side, they very rarely look and you can jump down and knife them as they come past. And then we have this little area of fence here with gaps in it. If you're trying to guard against people coming up against my favourite approach from the southwest, that's the best way to do it. Finally, if you're stuck in the swamp for some reason, and I don't know why you'd be down here because you're just so exposed, if you need to quickly get back up to the boardwalks, you can run along the left or right side here and then jump down pretty quickly. So that's a bit of an escape from danger if you put yourself in a really stupid situation. And that more or less brings us to the end of this tactical tour. If you have any more tricks or tips for this compound, please let us know in the comments. And if you like this video, it'd be great if you would consider subscribing as well. You can catch up to me when I stream live on Twitch, and also in our community Discord server, which are all linked in the description below. I would like to thank our awesome Patreon supporters as well, and all you guys for watching the video. Until next time, this is Ascendance from 4FS Gaming.